The rise and fall of the Ruthless Aggression Era WWE. They called it Ruthless Aggression, but what started as Vince McMahon's desperate attempt to save his empire became one of the most unforgettable chapters in WWE history. An era filled with legends in the making, shocking betrayals, emotional triumphs, and tragedies that shook the wrestling world to its core. This wasn't just wrestling. This was survival. This was reinvention. This was the rise and fall of the Ruthless Aggression Era, the end of the Attitude Era, and a new beginning. The year was 2002. WWE had just won the Monday Night Wars, defeating WCW and buying out its biggest rival. The Attitude Era, the chaotic, edgy, rebellious time that had redefined wrestling, was officially over. For years, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, and The Undertaker had carried the company on their shoulders. But with victory came a new problem. The Rock was leaving for Hollywood. Stone Cold walked out due to creative differences. Mick Foley had retired, and Shawn Michaels was still on the sidelines. Ratings began to decline. Without competition from WCW, the sense of urgency that fueled WWE's creativity was gone. Vince McMahon realized something had to change. And in one of the most famous promos in company history, he stood in the ring and declared, the future of WWE would be built on ruthless aggression, John Cena, and the first punch of a new era. Those words weren't just corporate jargon, they became the mantra of a generation. And the first superstar to embody them was a young rookie named John Cena. On SmackDown in June 2002, Cena answered Kurt Angle's open challenge. Dressed in plain trunks with no flashy music or elaborate entrance, Cena introduced himself with two words, ruthless aggression. Then he slapped Angle across the face and nearly shocked the world in his debut match. That single moment became the spark that lit an entire era. Cena didn't win that night, but he showed the world that new blood was ready to rise. And he wouldn't be the last. The monster called Brock Lesnar. If Cena was the spark, Brock Lesnar was the explosion. Dubbed the next big thing, Lesnar debuted in 2002 and instantly looked unstoppable. His size, speed, and intensity made him unlike anything fans had ever seen. Within months, he defeated legends, dominated the roster, and by SummerSlam 2002, became the youngest WWE champion in history at just 25 years old. Lesnar's rise was meteoric. He crushed Hulk Hogan, ended The Rock's reign, and headlined WrestleMania. For a time, he felt like the unstoppable centerpiece of WWE's future. But as we'll see later, his story would take a shocking turn that left WWE scrambling once again. The evolution of Randy Orton and Batista. Meanwhile, on Raw, Triple H formed one of the most dominant factions in WWE history, Evolution. Alongside Ric Flair, Triple H mentored two young superstars, Randy Orton and Batista. Orton quickly became the Legend Killer, a cocky young heel who built his career by disrespecting and defeating icons like Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels. Batista, on the other hand, was the silent enforcer, biding his time until the moment came to break free. By WrestleMania 21, both men were ready for the spotlight. Orton had already become the youngest world heavyweight champion in history, and Batista finally turned on Triple H, capturing the world title in one of the most satisfying betrayals ever. SmackDown's golden age, the SmackDown 6. While Raw was dominated by evolution and larger-than-life rivalries, SmackDown took a different approach. Under the creative direction of Paul Heyman, the blue brand became the home of pure wrestling. The SmackDown 6. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, Edge, and Chavo Guerrero delivered some of the greatest matches in WWE history. Their athleticism and storytelling elevated the product, proving that wrestling could thrive on skill and drama, not just spectacle. SmackDown became must-watch television, with Guerrero and Benoit's emotional title wins later cementing this as one of WWE's golden ages for in-ring competition. Defining moments of ruthless aggression, the era was packed with unforgettable moments. Eddie Guerrero's championship victory, 2004. When Eddie defeated Brock Lesnar at No Way Out, the celebration was more than a title win. It was the triumph of heart and passion over brute force. His reign remains one of the most beloved in WWE history. Chris Benoit's WrestleMania 20th win. Benoit's emotional victory in Madison Square Garden, celebrated alongside Eddie Guerrero, was the culmination of years years of struggle. For many fans, it symbolized that hard work and persistence could lead to the top. Cena's rise as the face of WWE. From his rap battles to his feud with JBL, Cena transformed from an underdog into the undeniable poster boy of the company. His WrestleMania 21 victory over JBL marked the beginning of a decade-long reign at the top. Undertaker's evolution. Whether as the American badass or returning to his deadman persona, The Undertaker proved that reinvention was possible even for an established legend. His feuds with Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, and Batista kept him relevant and dominant. The cracks begin to show. As the mid-2000s rolled on, problems began to surface. WWE started to rely heavily on John Cena as its centerpiece. While younger fans embraced him, older audiences grew tired of his dominance, sparking one of the most polarizing reactions in wrestling history. Brock Lesnar shocked the world by leaving WWE in 2004 to pursue a career in the NFL and later UFC. This left a massive void, as one of WWE's brightest stars vanished in his prime. At the same time, the company began moving toward a more family-friendly, PG-rated product. The edgy, unpredictable storytelling that had defined the Attitude Era and early Ruthless Aggression years gave way to safer, sponsor-friendly programming. Tragedy strikes. No story of the Ruthless Aggression Era is complete without addressing its darkest chapters. In 2005, Eddie Guerrero tragically passed away at the age of 38. His death devastated fans and wrestlers alike, leaving a hole in WWE that was never truly filled. Just 2 years later, the Benoit tragedy shocked the entire world, casting a permanent shadow over the industry. These moments not only marked the emotional decline of the era, but also forced WWE to completely rethink its policies on health, wellness, and safety. The fall and the PG transition. By 2008, the Ruthless Aggression Era was effectively over. Batista would soon leave. Edge, despite his success, battled injuries that cut his career short. Orton remained a top star, but Cena was unquestionably the face of the company. The shift to PG content meant risk-taking was gone. Storylines were simplified. Matches became shorter. For many fans, the aggression had vanished, replaced by predictability. The very thing that made the era exciting, its edge, its hunger, its willingness to push boundaries, had been stripped away. The legacy of Ruthless Aggression. And yet, despite its fall, the Ruthless Aggression Era remains one of WWE's most influential periods. It was the bridge between the chaos of the Attitude Era and the polish of modern WWE. It created the foundation for the stars we still see today: John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar. It gave us timeless classics from Guerrero, Mysterio, Angle, and Edge. It showed us that WWE could survive without Austin and The Rock, and it proved that wrestling could evolve, even under pressure. For many fans, it was the last great era of WWE. For others, it was a bittersweet reminder that all things must eventually change. Because in the end, the Ruthless Aggression Era wasn't just about wrestling. It was about evolution, about survival, about proving that aggression, ruthless aggression, was the key to writing history.